you're making it about race versus about someone's competence to do the job in hand. And that's part of the issue, right?
Yeah. I think like I think it's a very, very good point. And I think like, especially with these rise of these, I'm going to say like Instagram, TikTok hairstylists who have no formal training and they are destroying people's hair on a daily, weekly, monthly basis.
Hourly.
And like we see it when it goes viral, when someone's had a bad experience, it goes viral and everything like that. And it's just, something needs to be done about this. We need regulation. In some sort, we absolutely.
Can you say that again for the people in the back?
Regulation.
Can you say it louder for the professional association?
Let's go. Like honestly, terrible.
I've been calling out in quotes the Instagram because as also a former hairdresser, I worked in the salon for about how many years, and I've done similar work to you, not on your level there because I'm not.
Don't be doing that. You've been doing your stuff.
I've been doing my stuff, but. In seeing that, I'm very frustrated with the lack of regulation in people like having an idea, like I could do hair. There's nothing wrong with leaning into your creativity and your talent and your skill, but the importance of customer service, the importance of really understanding your client and building that relationship is being lost in this kind of McDonald's fast food type way of doing hair and making money. I record a little bit about not bringing race into it because I do think we are not honest about how there are black people who do not even like Afro hair, who would deign to even show their hair. They'll hide it and they'll just be embarrassed or scared or fearful or whatever. But I think race does have to play into it because a lot of the comments were as well from white mothers who said, no, absolutely not. I researched, I Googled, I made the effort. I did all this. My mixed race children's hair is didded. And I make the effort because I know it's important. So there are white mothers specifically and white parents, I should say, who are taking that extra time. And that was a snapshot where I was like, this poor mixed race girl, what is she hearing? What is she experiencing? And what was holding back her mother or her carer from doing that extra research? Because she wasn't a young girl. She was about 12, 13 maybe. So why has it taken this long to find some sort of, I'm not necessarily saying it's impossible, that they didn't try, but it just seemed like, why is she here? Why at this age is she still having this issue?
It's called accountability. Accountability doesn't know age, gender, position, life, currency. It's called awareness, a sense of humanity, a sort of a sense of a willingness to do the best with what you got and be accountable. That's what it is. You can put all the other toppings on as you want to. It doesn't matter who you are or where you come from. Everyone deserves to be loved and respected equally. How you view that and the lens that you view that through determines the passage that you then walk on.
Fair. So what do we do with like? So,
no.
It's fair.
Literally, it doesn't matter.
And I swear, I just feel like she wanted a viral moment as well because the mother, because his, videos are popular, like it's just like, how can I get my daughter into that space and thinking that there's going to be nothing wrong with it? Because if you look back at the other videos, before that went viral, there wasn't that many negative comments, right? There was other people who was saying similar things, similar rhetoric, how unmanageable curly hair is, but the comments weren't, it kind of like didn't hit the black spaces, let's say that kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't know why this one particularly stood out because it's true, but also what people have been saying and subsequently and however long he's been doing this is that he blocks anyone that says negativity.
Oh yeah, of course.
So then you see the kind of the supportive side of it. So maybe, I don't know why this one broke through.
I think because it was like a white mother taking the mixed race girl. So
I think there were others
pulling that, not that I went through. I didn't go far. Like your research, but I definitely looked on the page and that seemed to be the only moment where you clearly see the mum bringing in a child, that whole scenario. And obviously I think the first person to rip it and their commentary was white mother takes mixed race. So that's
then it's gonna go viral.
Yeah, that's gonna go viral.
But this is the thing, it's just like I think it's good that those white mothers are actually, or white parents in general, are speaking up. Because when I think about it, do you know who taught me to do hair? My friend who was mixed race, her mum, who's white, yeah?
Really?
She's British. She taught me how to twist. She taught me how to cane roll, right? Like, do you know what I mean? This is pre-internet. pre-internet. There's no way. Do you know what I mean? She went out of her way to learn. She learned from her husband, family, the community, and everything like that. That's what she did. But she didn't change. She didn't have to change herself. She didn't have to. She didn't have to put her kids in harm's way to get them to look decent for school.
Yeah.
So with that said, I'm going to ask now, even in this context and how we're having this conversation, we're segregating by race or ethnicity. And we've said well, not me, you guys have said many times the word white, which is typecasting a whole group of people. And you've just identified that there was a specific individual who happens to be white that actually taught you, who happened to be a black woman, how to do hair that would be on a black woman. So just in that sentence, then you've just sort of contradicted and opened up a whole space of what the irony of the bigger issue is that we're not addressing, but we keep using race to segregate the actual real issue versus recognizing that what we're talking about here is people's capacity and ability to do the job. Race comes into the conversation, but not at the level that where we keep holding this race conversation. Yeah. We're holding race as this is the pinnacle of what it is, and it actually isn't. It's actually what separates everyone from being able to actually get to the point of actually teaching someone how to ethically handle and work with all hair patterns and do it at a standard. So wherever you go, whomever you are, you should be able to see a hairdresser and have your hair attended to.
Yeah.
Which is what we should be discussing, and we're not, because we keep separating it based on inherent biases and segregation through culture and the proximity to access.
Yeah, I think this is just my lived experience.
Correct.
Just, you know what I mean? To hone in on the point as well. It's just that I can't go in my local area where I live and go, like, say, I'm in my wig era at the moment, right? So every month, I should be doing it every 2 weeks. I just want to wash my hair, get some cane rolls, put my wig back on, right? That's all I want to do. I can't go in my local area into any standard, white owned.
What's your local area?
Pimlico.
Right.
Yeah. White owned, usually, do you know what I mean? Or makeup in the salon, and just get my hair cane rolled, washed and cane rolled. Because they don't have the skill to do it.
Exactly.
So it's just like that goes hand in hand. So I hear what you're saying, but it's just like more than likely if I go, a couple of stops further, do you know what I mean?
Into the less gentrified areas. Let's call it what it is. Because I'm a product of that. That's why I worked in West End.
Yeah, okay.
At the times that I worked in West End, which was many years ago, I don't live in the UK anymore. And the reason why I primarily put myself in Oxford Circus, Mayfair, Soho and Covent Garden was there were very few, and even today I still think there's very few of people who happen to be black that can operate at a high level consistently on time and have the client and have the client in and out on time, with whether that was a weave install, a blowout, a press and set, wash and go treatment, and still do highlights on all of the other hair patterns. But I did that simply because, without trying to burst into tears, you all three deserve to walk into a luxury environment and be seen and treated as equal as anyone else, or however your aspirations may precede you.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be robbed of that. And so there's been a low level of performance in the arts and the efficacy of holding academies accountable. There's no legislation around top tier ruthless education around managing Afro hair. You've happened to end up having subsidiary. Yes, people that have taken it on their own back. To start doing academies here and there, and then they're flooded with people who want to learn, but there's been no sort of big colleges taking this as a standard to pass your MVQ levels, whatever that may be, or your cutting performances in the US, and holding it at the same standard, and then having people to assess it that understand fluidity with hair patterns. That's also another thing. It's one thing about having someone who happens to be black teaching you how to work with Afro hair, which is an issue, by the way, I take to that. But you need to have someone who understands how to work with hair patterns and have fluidity with that, because the curly hair spectrum isn't specific to one ethnic group.
Yeah.
And that's also another issue that we're not discussing here. So when we are discussing it and we're using the words white or black, you're missing out a whole group of people. And that's the other problem. And most people can't segregate from what they're hearing. So when you keep marginalizing the conversation, you keep segregating the conversation.